point to end it on.
So now this is when they're at their best. And when they're 12 years for this. So drink it in.
Still goes to Auckland, New Zealand.
What he loves to be immortality as an athlete. 19.79. It's a goal. It's 8 goals. And when they're 12 years for this. So drink it in.
Still goes to Auckland, New Zealand.
What he loves to be immortality as an athlete. 19.79. It's a goal. It's 8 goals.
Every day, our lives are changed by history,
We are one people, all of us.
leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Greenwoods.
Welcome back, Atn Sports Extra Ordinary on Atlantic Television Network. And joining me on today's edition of the show, of course, I have two gentlemen, and they are very much ready, of course, to bring you the latest evolving around the world of sport this evening. Michael is here. Good evening to you, Michael, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening to you, Kingsley, and good evening to our viewers out there. Like you said, we are always ready.
Yeah, very, very much ready.
Like Manchester City is everybody ready to hunt for the title.
Jerry Daniels, good evening to you.
Yes, good evening, sport listeners out there. Good evening to you once again, the anchor man, Kingsley Mania. And just keep the dial locked. There's so many intriguing stories around the world of sport, so just keep it.
A lot to discuss here, and I tell you, we're very much ready, of course, to dissect all revolving the water sports this weekend. Let's start with weightlifting this evening. A lot, of course, is happening in the weightlifting federation in Nigeria. We hear the weightlifting federation has turned attention fully on the Olympic Games, and we're talking about the preparation for this Olympic Games in Paris. Weightlifting Federation of Nigeria, of course, they are putting everything intact at this point to make sure that weightlifters that will be representing the country in the Paris Olympic Games, of course, will be able to bring medals to the country. Michael, what do you make of this one? We saw their progress at the All African Games, and now they have turned their attention now to prepare for the Paris Olympic Games.
Yeah, taking a look at the statement of the president a few days ago when he was talking very tough, he said that they are going to start preparation in earnest so as to ensure that the two weightlifters that is going to represent us out there at the Paris Olympic game actually go out there and come back with something tangible. Tangible in the sense that, we are expecting gold medals at most. Silver or even bronze medal won't be a bad idea. But then, looking at the exploit of our weightlifters, and they just concluded the All-African game here in Ghana a few weeks ago. I think they actually did pretty well. They won about 7 to 8 gold medals, and that is very, very impressive. But then, I think the angle I'm pretty worried about the number of our contingent so far for this year. We are preparing very well to ensure that at least these two weightlifters is going to at least come back with something very tangible. But then we still need to do some more work because we still have other major tournaments coming. This is the right time for us to start preparing, if not for the Olympic game, because the Olympic game, the timing is very short for us to say, okay, let's go back to the drawing board and start going back maybe to the grassroots, start to organize mini competition or quarterly competition so that we can be able to get the best out of the weightlifters that we have in the country. Because if you ask me, we have enormous talent across all the states here. Yes, so when it has to do with weightlifting, we are doing pretty well. And for me, despite the Olympic game being near, we can also start preparing ahead of other subsequent, tournaments so that ensure we do very well. But then, I think the preparation is okay. Let's start very early, and it also helps the two weightlifters to also go out there and churn out result for us.
Jerry, what do you make of it? Two weightlifters are expected to be in Paris, to compete in the weightlifting competition. What do you make of the number?
Yes, the contingents are going to represent Nigeria at the Paris 2024 Olympics is two of them. And for me, if you are having a large contingent without getting the medal, so what is the use for? So for me, I really do think that these two that will represent Nigeria are carefully timed at this moment, whereby they can go as well churn out those medals in which we also want, because it's no brainer getting many contenders on the field, much more of them, and you're not getting the medals. So for me, I really do think that two of them at least, they can as well get those gold medals in if they want.
No, you know why I'm very worried here, Kingsley? If you take a look at the contingent of the Egyptian team in the Paris, in the just concluded African game here in Ghana, if you take a look at their contingent, they were pretty much, and that gave them the advantage over other countries, over other nations that came for the All-African game. Because when you have one or two, athletes out there, you are limiting your chances of making progress out there when the competition officially kicks off proper. But when you have a large contingent, I think you stand a better advantage of over other countries that pose less, contingent out there. I understand the point that Jerry is trying to raise.
Do they even have sponsors?
And that's
the thing.
And that is where, for me, I will indict them. You know why? If the federation, talking about the weightlifting federation, cannot source for fund themselves, other than depending on the federal government or the sport ministry, to give them money, then they have failed, in that regard. Because for me, I expect such a big organization to be able to source for fund, because this is a field that, we are doing pretty well when you talk about weightlifting and even wrestling. These are some of the sports that we say, yes, Nigeria, if you call us, maybe in athletic, weightlifting, wrestling, football. These are very lucrative and very, critical aspect of our sporting area that we have not yet explored properly. I tell you, if people that have, vision of thinking outside the box, man, that particular position, I tell you, they will attract sponsorship. They will attract men and women that are sport lovers, that are willing, to also put their money there. It boils down to, for some of these leaders to think outside the box, create something out of nothing. And so for me, I think that is what they have failed, because you can't totally rely on the, the sport ministry or the federal government every year, for them to give you money before you can go for major competition. Now, during this year's budget, the sport ministry were allocated a sum of 32 million naira for the sport ministry alone in the budget. And we have about 33 to 34 sporting federation here in the country. Then, having the federal government having provided maybe 32 million naira, that is very little. And if you were up and doing, you should have been able to know that this money that is budgeted for the sport ministry will not be enough, and that is where you should start working on how to source for more funds, for yourself. But they realized, they went home and relaxed on their odd, waiting for, the sport ministry or the federal government to come to their. It doesn't work that way. We must think outside the box. We must be creative. What is that thing that you can do in order to add value to wherever you are being man as a head other? This is what it means. This is what critical thinking means. And this is what pragmatic step means. This is what vision is all about. You must have the vision that indeed, okay, I am the head of this department or this sport ministry. What will I do differently to get the positive result? What has others been doing that have not given them the desired result? You need to ask yourself this question. And if you say, okay, subsequent, sporting head have come and gone, yet they are unable to make an impact. But you who have creative mind, you who is a visioneer, you come into that same place, you can turn things around and make it more lucrative, and that is how you attract sponsorship.
All right, let's see how it goes. Weightlifting Federation intensifying preparation ahead of all the Paris Olympic Games. We'll just keep our fingers crossed and see what they'll be able to do. We hear that 2 weightlifters will be representing Nigeria at the Paris Olympic Games, and we hope that they'll go down there and, of course, make the country proud. But still talking about the Olympic Games, we hear a police crackdown that aims to clear a poor suburb of petty crime and street vendors before the Paris Olympic Games is putting pressure on an overcrowded prison operating at almost double its capacity. Villepinte is a grey concrete detention center in the suburb of Saint-Denis, and it lies 2.5 kilometers from the Paris Arena, not set to host boxing and fencing competition during the games beginning on July 26. Now, it is among the most crowded prisons in France. Opened in 1991, Villepinte takes prisoners from the busy Bobigny courthouse nearby the pre-trial detention and short sentences as well. So at this point, they're already preparing. If you go there and you mess up, you'll be getting into prison. They are trying to clear. they're trying to clear the prison down there in France. Talking about the Villepinte prison. In fact, the officials that are in charge of making sure that they curb crime or any situation down there, that telling the organizers to make sure that they clear the prison, because people might be entering there during the Olympics. So
and to maintain integrity despite you being on the losing side or the winning side. So for me, I really do think that it's a punitive measure the Paris Federation as a threat to the security of the Paris 2024 Olympics. So one of those things is that they are trying to tell you to be forewarned is to be forearmed. So they are trying to say, if you have an intention to commit crime, please do not even board a plane or a bus or a taxi to this venue, no matter where you're coming from around the world. So if you do so, we have you going to be behind bars for a long time. So they're trying to disregard the idea of those who intend to commit crime. I think that's one of a very good measure, because when someone commits a crime, if punitive measures are not taken towards that person, if it's not curbed at the early stage, then it won't serve as a deterrent to those out there who want or who may be susceptible to committing such crimes. So for me, I really do think that these punitive measures will serve and will go a long way.
You see, we should look at the long effect of this. It's not just because of the Paris Olympic game. That is why they are running from pillar to post to ensure that they get some of these hooligans and gangsters, try to keep them at bay. But then, you take a look at the long way of trying to get stardom and make yourself popular, get to be used as a veritable in France. It's likened to the Garrison Square, United States of America. Who is this? That is the center of gambling. It's the center of gangsterism. It's the center of hooligans. It's the center of, call it whatever dirty name you want to call it. That is just the way the end happens to those criminals or to those men and women who were trying to cope. So I think for me, they should be looking at the long-time effect of trying to get these people off the street, try to get them off committing crime and criminalities by using sport as a tools, to change that narrative. Now, I want to ask, kind of play. So for me, I'm looking at the French authority using sport as a tool, to be able to solve all of these problems, other than this temporal measure, this transient measure of trying to keep them at bay just because Olympic game is about to come. It's like a rich man having an imbecile of a son or a daughter. You know what happens? When you have some other dignitaries, some of your big friends coming around in your place, here in France, the Paris Olympic game, the opening ceremony, was meant to take place outside the stadium in an open place. But because of the palpable fear of the rate of crimes and criminality, they are now thinking twice that the Paris Olympic game, the way they modeled it for the opening ceremony, is taking a different shape because of the fear that hooligans will come and disrupt the opening ceremony. So for me, I think it just boils down to a total change of mind, a total change of direction, a total change of the way they were seeing sport out there. So now you are also anticipating to hook some persons who will definitely exactly during the period where this Olympic game is being hoisted. Where are you going to put those persons? Whereas the prison yard is already congested. And so for me, I think it just boils down to a holistic plan. Their opening ceremony because of the fear of attack. So it tells you that it's not just that neighborhood where they are laying fear. It is general. So I think there should be a holistic approach to these things on how to solve this issue. And sport, like I said earlier, would be a very, very good tools or material to use and eradicate some of this crime. Even if they cannot totally eradicate it, but at least to keep it in a barest minimum, because there is no way across the globe where we does not have insecurity. But what matters is the level at which you are able to checkmate them.
All right, a lot to expect ahead of the Paris Olympic Games, and just as well an information. If you're going to Paris, for the Olympic Games,
it's very cautious.
Jerry, let me come down to you. What do you make of Rivers United? After they were being knocked down from the CAF Confederation Cup, we're talking about how they will survive in the Nigerian Premier Football League. But their last 3 games, of course, they've been putting up an impressive performance. Now, they are now 12th on the log, from 17 to 12 now, with 40 points.
Yes, when you look at Rivers United, they've not really had a very good campaign during disheartening and heartbreaking. But for me, they have really taken a step further. They have recovered from the loss they had against the Algiers side in the CAF Champions League, and they have been able to be resilient, to take games back to back on a winning streak, to make sure that they move from 17th to 14th to 12th, sorry, on the log table, because when this is a quantum leap when it has to do with moving up the ladder. So for me, Rivers United have proven a point that yes, we can as well challenge for the title come next season, irrespective of our challenges we have. We were
sister station,
Yeah.
and you were giggling at me, you laughed at me.
Because I don't have that confidence in Rivers United.
This is Rivers United that was seated in a 17th position, and then I told you that Rivers United, mathematically, that I could still remember our discourse that day. I told you that mathematically Rivers United is still in for the title chase, and you laughed at me. You said that is that going to be a magic? But then, looking at what they've done so far, 40 points right now. Then, now you have to juxtapose their point margin with that of Enugu Rangers, who is topping the league with 53 points presently. Enugu Rangers is topping the league with 53 points. Now, Rivers United, they are on 40 points right now. Don't forget, they have 5 outstanding games. 3 points in each game times.
Rangers, of course, will be national against Plateau United. Very tough fixture you see down there for Rangers. Eimba also be national against Katsina United. Akwa United against Kano Pillars. That will be a very tough one as well. Sporting Lagos against Abia Warriors. Bayelsa United will be in action, of course, against Rivers United. Would that be...
Manchester City faced Real Madrid, played Chelsea. Between how many days?
And Pep was complaining.
And Pep was complaining, yes. Fatigue had to set in. But when you look at it, I think a 2-week window can serve for 2-3 games. Then, with that, they'll be able to meet up with the other team. Then, if you want to extend the league for that, just 1 or 2 weeks. But not 4 weeks. It's really long. And you're trying to tell us, number one, it will affect the next campaign. And the other, number two, you're not having a blueprint for the next campaign. So,
praising all this, why? Did you not see this coming?
Well, maybe he saw it coming, but then his hands are tied. I think they did not take a look at it even before they started, the calendar year for the league. Because for me, I think it's quite embarrassing. Jerry here was talking about the EPL. He was trying to use the EPL La Liga.
they have always been tied to challenge.